There's a specific kind of peace found in the kitchen on a Friday evening. My hands are deep in dough, kneading together flour and water into my challah, or challah bread, a sweet and fluffy braided bread with a crisp golden outer layer that's blessed and eaten by Jewish families on Friday nights to welcome the Sabbath, as this process symbolizes blessing, community, and warmth. For years, my social media feed felt just like that dough, soft, warm, and full of life. I would scroll through golden retrievers and sourdough starters, feeling that quiet and familiar rise of dopamine. Back then, the biggest controversy I faced was the age-old question of whether pineapple truly belongs on pizza. It was a simpler time back then. But as the algorithm evolved, the recipe of our digital landscape began to change. I log on expecting to feel that warmth, but instead, I find a growing knot in the pit of my stomach. The flour has turned to grit, the sweetness to bile. I realize that I'm not scrolling through a community anymore, but rather a feed that has traded outfits of the day for targeted hatred towards marginalized groups. Social media has become a breeding ground for animosity and misinformation. And as a Jewish high schooler living in the age of technology dependence, with peers who all have some form of social media, I've witnessed firsthand the significant threat of normalized online hate. From the casual sale of derogatory stickers to videos of teenagers shouting slurs. As I see it, when we auction off the dignity of any individual for a like, we lower the standard of safety for everyone. From February to December, UCLA gathered data from nearly 15,000 students regarding the rise of social media vilification. Overall, they found that 8 in 10 youth reported encountering derogatory speech in the prior month via social media, with nearly 70% viewing abusive language related to race or ethnicity. My perspective isn't just shaped by the headlines of today, but rather by the weight of my history. As the proud great-granddaughter of 5 Holocaust survivors, I've spent years researching the roots of prejudice. And I have found that the path to dehumanization begins with the words we choose to normalize. To counteract the coldness of this digital hate, I turn to the warmth and tradition of my family's kitchen, baking challah, or challah bread, with my mom and sister. While challah is the bread at my table, every minority has their own sacred traditions, recipes rich with history and culture that are being threatened by the same digital grit. Baking challah is a process of patience and precision. But just as a single spoiled ingredient can ruin a loaf, just one piece of misinformation may distort a person's worldview. If the flour is tainted, our bread cannot rise. If our information is poisoned, our community may struggle to thrive. When I was in middle school, I witnessed the dangers of the algorithm in action. I was 14, engaging in an exercise of intellectual debate. I loved debate. A girl stood next to me looking up at a prompt about human nature and said casually, "I think the Jews could have prevented the Holocaust if they simply tried hard enough." At that moment, the air left the room. I felt heat creeping up my neck. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline of a joke that never came. My family's history wasn't just being questioned, it was being rewritten as a choice of weakness. I realized then that she wasn't reciting a textbook. She was reciting a feed. She wasn't a heartless person, but she had been fed a dye to lies and she was simply reciting the recipe. In order to reclaim our feeds, we have to understand the science behind the prediction engine that decides what we see. Social media algorithms are designed to maximize user engagement, and studies confirm that humans are biologically wired to react more intensely to high arousal emotions, the things that make us outraged, shocked, or disgusted, which the algorithms then systematically amplify to keep us on the app. If a post containing a slur or a conspiracy theory gets a spike in angry shares, the algorithm labels it as high-value content and pushes it into the feed of people like my classmate. It's like an attention-seeking best friend that says, I have the perfect thing for you. A swarm of angry bees. It's not looking for what will benefit you most. It's looking for whatever will get you to drop everything else. Ultimately, the algorithm is a mirror of our collective attention. It amplifies whatever we choose to focus on. If we all click on videos of puppies, our feeds will blossom with puppies. When we prioritize the facts, we're actually retraining the algorithm. Every click is a vote for the content we want to see. By consciously choosing what information we interact with, we can take back control of the algorithm and create an environment built off of respect. When you do see this bigotry, don't comment. Don't even hate watch it. Report it and move on. Reporting shouldn't be snitch culture. It's a civic duty. If we all start flagging the grit in the flower, then the algorithms will be forced to listen. A year later, I was on vacation with my family, thinking I had finally left this noise behind. I was wrong. My peaceful break was shattered by the rhythmic thud of drums and a crowd chanting for hatred. In that moment, prejudice wasn't just a comment in a classroom or a post on a screen. It was a physical mob, loud and dangerous. The wall between physical and digital had finally crumbled. These platforms can turn private prejudice into organized public violence. We need platforms that use stricter AI to catch the deliberate misspellings and coded language used to bypass safety filters. Companies can also invest in fully trained, culturally competent human moderators to catch the historical nuances that the algorithm might miss. Too often, we shrug and scroll past misinformation because we assume a piece of technology will catch it. But just the other day, I was chatting with AI and it got confused between a Dalmatian and chocolate chip ice cream. Technology doesn't have a heart or a history, but we do. When hate spills into our streets, it's easy to feel powerless. But we have a choice. By pausing to report a harmful post, we're doing more than just clicking a button. We're acting as a shield for our community. By simply flagging coded language, we can slow down the momentum in these groups and keep that violence out of our real world. But how should we approach the flood of content we see on a daily basis? I want everyone to imagine 3 very simple, very important labeled boxes. Probably true, probably false, and undetermined. Whenever you see information online, especially those eye-catching headlines or brief descriptions, it should immediately move to your undetermined box. It's there until you've actually done a bit more digging. Just as you wouldn't dump a mysterious white powder into your dough without checking if it's salt or sugar, we shouldn't fold information into our worldview without knowing its source. Once you've confirmed the information, you can move it to your probably true box. The probably in the title is a crucial reminder that even the best news outlets can sometimes make mistakes. I use the probably true box for news and the definitely false box for anyone who claims they actually enjoy anchovies. It's all about discernment. Conversely, if you confirm the information is probably false, then it's time to act. Flag it, report it, and warn others. We can't guarantee that the next person will be as responsible, so it's up to us to stop the source of the issue, and it takes minimal time or effort to simply flag a post. We can't keep using the same old ingredients and expect the bread to magically taste yummy. If we want different results, we need a better recipe. First, treat anonymity as a maybe, not a fact. If you don't know where an ingredient came from, don't fold it into your dough. Second, don't shrug and scroll past digital grit while someone else might get hurt. Report it. And lastly, commit to the undetermined box. Tonight, I want everyone to take one piece of viral information, just one, and instead of reacting, research it. Find the source, check the facts, and practice the patience that true integrity requires. By choosing nuance over noise, we stop being passive users of an algorithm and start being active protectors of each other's dignity. Just as we braid 3 separate strands to form a single khala, we must weave together policy, technology, and individual courage to create a world that is safe for everyone. Because together, we are unstoppable. It's time to rise to the occasion and bake a future that is as warm and inclusive as the one we deserve. Thank you.